Hi everyone, this is Tascha Yoder with another episode of Wordplay. And I talk about words because they're the bridge between our thoughts and our actions. Thoughts being the generation of an idea, an emotion, an energy, and action being how we manifest that in the world. So words come between those two. It's how we sort of form the specifics of what we're doing. Today we're going to talk about two words that have the same letters but are mixed up. So definitely a play on words today. So our two words today are silent and listen. And if you look at them, they have the same letters, just mixed around between those two words. So I'm going to start with a story because obviously from this the implication is that in order to listen, you really need to be silent, but it goes farther than that. It's not just not talking in order to listen. It's also about silencing the chatter that's in your mind, or how you might even complete someone's sentence. So the story I'm going to tell you happened about 3 years ago now. I was in a long-term spiritual group, and we were training together, learning earth-based wisdom. And this beautiful young woman was in our group. She was the youngest one of us. She was 18. And we were having a conversation. It was lunchtime, I think, or just after lunch. We're having a conversation, and she's talking to me about her mom. And I know her mom also. And so she's talking, and she takes a breath just to think about what the next thing is that she's going to say. So she's talking about her mom and a situation that they were in and something that her mom said to her. And as she paused and was trying to formulate the next part, which was what her mom actually said in response to the situation, I jumped in with what I thought her mom would have said. So I said, something that I made up about the situation, something that I assumed about the situation. We'll do assume later as a word. You've all heard that one as well. So she just looks at me and she says, "No, that's not it. That's not what happened." Very gently, but very firmly, telling me that what I had done was not correct in that situation. And it really woke me up. So I've spent a long time in my life, or I do this quite a bit, where I finish people's sentences, provide words when they get stuck, because sometimes those are the things that come to me. But what I realized at that moment is that I wasn't actually listening to her. I was in that state where I was trying to rush things along rather than just listen to what she was talking about. So that's one example of how, if you can really be silent, that really gives you a good point of listening. So not to jump in, not to complete, not to comment. It's another thing I do a lot when I'm in a group. Sometimes I comment, and it shifts the energy. It changes things rather than just being silent and accepting what's happening. The other thing is, I think, I don't know how many people took debate in school. I didn't really do debate. I think we learned just a tiny little bit about what a debate was. But oftentimes when we're listening to someone, we're thinking about all the things that we need to say to rebut what they've said, right? So you're not really listening because you're formulating all those things. I mean, I have another friend who I can talk to him about something, and as soon as I'm done talking, I know pretty much what's going to come out of his mouth, which is, well, I've got 3 points, or something along those lines. And sometimes it's a little frustrating because it's like, well, were you really listening, or were you just thinking about what you needed to say, or what you thought you needed to say afterwards? And some of that is the pace of our conversation. We just don't create enough time for silence. We don't create the ability for someone to just be able to sit and think in response. So it's, I need to have my response ready. I need to be ready to go, which means that while you're talking, I am thinking about all the things I need to say to you to either agree, disagree, prove my point, all those things. So just pay attention. Again, the two words that have the same letters, just all mixed up, silent and listen. And silence is not just closing your mouth, it's also trying to settle your mind down just a little bit so that you're not quite as engaged internally and you're open to receiving. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Wordplay.